and he just All right, then, let's not mess around. Let's keep this thing going. I'd like to call to order the Berkshire Township Board of Zoning Appeal meeting for August 20th, 2025, and it's 7:01 p.m. Please count the roll.
Dorothy? Here. Fred?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Ellen? Here.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from July 18th meeting?
Yes.
Any comments, corrections?
I do.
Okay, Dorothy?
Page 3, the fourth paragraph up. It says Dorothy asked about the permit for the model home. She did not see any indication of the extension for the year or after that. She asked if there was an application to extend. Nathan explained that there can be an extension per policy for 1 year, and that was applied for and used. It was not applied for.
Okay. We'll strike that sentence from the minutes. Any additional changes or corrections? Hearing none, would recommend approval of the minutes. Make that motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay. Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
I will need a signature, and if you could pass that back to me, by the members that were here. I did on page, whatever page it was, Ellen, I noted to strike that sentence, and we will replace that page before it goes into the official documents.
Okay. Now on to the business of this evening. We have before us application 25094, submitted by Carlton at Berkshire LLC. It's requesting a variance to place a sign on a property not identified as being owned by the corporation. There are two ancillary requests after that, but we'll address this one first. Okay, all those wishing to testify, please stand and be sworn in.
All right, okay. I guess she didn't want to do it. All right. Do you plan on telling the truth, the whole truth? So help me God? Is that nice and quick?
Okay, just before we get started, I have to make a statement of policy that we have. As is the adopted policy of Berkshire Township Zoning Board of Appeals, all applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. Following the applicant's presentation, preliminary questions or points of clarification from the commission will be allowed. The audience will then be granted an opportunity to comment. Each individual will be granted 3 minutes. We ask that you be brief and to the point, and I may intercede if somebody gets repetitive. Other than that, who's first to speak?
I will.
Okay.
All right. Just have to give you a handout here.
Did you turn the button on?
Yep,
there?
I've got it on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, good evening. My name is Beth Seedorf. I'm an attorney at Boyer, Sater, Seymour & Pease in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm joined by Jeff French on behalf of the applicant, which is Carlton at Berkshire LLC. He'll be able to answer your questions as well, and he'll have a short part of the presentation as well. So the property that we're talking about is 12.186 acres that's located at the southeast corner of the intersection of State Route 3637 and Wilson Road. So this property is currently being developed as a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and it's zoned PMUD Article 16. And so while the PMUD requests specific divergences from Article 16 and Article 22, there's a section 16.08H of the PMUD says that graphics and signage in the PMUD will conform to section 16.07I and Article 22 of the zoning resolution or as approved by the zoning commission. So here, the applicant is proposing to erect an off-premises sign advertising available units to lease at the Carlton and Berkshire apartment community immediately south of the subject property. So the proposed design and location are on the site plan you were just handed. And while again, the PMUD contemplated some specific divergences from the zoning resolution, which is in the PMUD itself, it didn't contemplate this particular sign. So the applicant is requesting a couple variances, specifically a variance from section 2203I1, which requires a temporary freestanding sign not to exceed a total height of 8 feet and to be placed on real estate which is offered for sale, rent, or lease, to increase that sign height to 10 feet and to allow the sign to state that there are units available to lease at the Carlton and Berkshire property, which is just to the south. And then the applicant is also requesting a variance from section 2205M, prohibiting off-premises signs to allow the sign, again, the same thing, to allow for the sign to say available units to lease at the Carlton and Berkshire, which is the property to the south. So I'm going to walk through the variance factors briefly with you, just so we hit all of those points. So the first factor is whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or whether there'll be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. The subject property will yield a reasonable return and there will be a beneficial use without the variance. It's going to be developed as a Mercedes-Benz dealership. However, with the construction of that property and the location of the Carlton and Berkshire behind the construction, the variances here allow for motorists traveling along State Route 3637 and Wilson Road to see that there are rental units available at the Carlton and Berkshire. So the Carlton and Berkshire is currently at 36% occupancy and trending toward 45% occupancy in the next 30 days. And these variances will be very helpful in attracting potential renters at the Carlton and Berkshire. The next factor is whether the variance is substantial. The sign height variance is minor in that it just increases the height by 2 feet over the required 8 feet. And that's mainly due to the posts holding the sign up, as you can see on the site plan. And the face of the sign itself is 8 feet, which is compliant with the resolution. And the sign will otherwise meet all of the requirements of section 2203I1. And then the variance permitting the off-premises sign may be substantial given that off-premises signs are prohibited. However, this sign is temporary and will only be on the subject property a maximum of 2 years, but actually Jeff will provide some more context. It won't even be there that long. The next factor is whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered and whether adjoining properties or the comprehensive plan for the community would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Again, these requested variances are temporary. No adjoining properties will suffer a detriment as a result of these variances. And as previously stated, the PMUD didn't contemplate this sign prior to its adoption, so these variances are necessary. The next factor is whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The grant of the variances will not affect the delivery of governmental services. The next factor is whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Here, the applicant, again, is the neighboring property to the south and is requesting these variances with the permission and support of the subject property owner, which is Senator Bernie Moreno, if you're aware of that. And the subject property owner understands that the construction may obstruct motorists' view of the Carlton and Berkshire. So therefore, they want to help the applicant by allowing the sign on the property so that they can advertise. And then the second to last factor is whether the property owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some other method other than a variance. And here there's no other method other than a variance to get this approved. And then whether the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by the granting of the variance. We believe again that the temporary nature of the sign and its low profile relative to the other signs in the area, the applicant believes that the spirit and intent of the zoning requirements will be observed by granting these variances. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jeff to provide you with a little bit more context on a couple of the things I talked about.
Hi, good evening. Jeff French with Urban Communities, Vice President of Leasing Operations. So obviously the Carlton of Berkshire, we're excited to be in Berkshire Township to start with. I'll mention that. We have struggled a little bit since opening. Obviously, at the moment we opened, the Mercedes-Benz dealership was commencing construction. So throughout this period of time of being open, we have definitely experienced a lot less foot traffic through the door. To give you some examples of that, we have multiple new sites across the city, across the central Ohio area. So not only do we have the ravines at Meadow Ridge, just down the street at Africa and 3637, that right now is leased out to 68%, obviously substantially more than the Carlton of Berkshire. Obviously that was open a little longer, but we have definitely made more ground up there. So we also have a property out in Etna, Ohio. Drayton Hall is the community name, 264 units also. That faces along 310. Thankfully, we were allowed to erect a similar sign out there. We actually opened 3 weeks after Carlton at Berkshire, and we're milestones ahead. We already have 91 occupied units out of 264 there. We're at Carlton at Berkshire. We have a total of 312 units, and as of today, I have 44 occupied. So we are definitely behind the 8 ball, if you will. We also have Alkire Meadows in Grove City. That one opened 2 weeks prior to Carlton and Berkshire. Much smaller community, 130 units. We already have 105 occupied. That's kind of our standard. Of course, we want to lease them as quickly as possible, providing a good residence to families in the area. So as you know, obviously the visibility is an issue. So with that, I just wanted to mention, of course, with limited street level exposure, as you know, Wilson Road primarily services at this time Tanger outlets. So, that's not necessarily our demographic, obviously shoppers, but a lot of people travel into this area to shop there. So those folks may not be looking for an apartment necessarily here in Berkshire Township. So with that, I wanted to mention that so far in the past 3 months, we've had to spend a little in excess of $50,000 to boost up our advertising. So that includes radio ads with iHeart, WNCI, WCOL, social media campaigns, as well as print and mailing campaigns, going back to some grassroots advertising that we haven't had to do in a lot of markets. So, and we're good with that. Obviously, it's a cost of business. But we're hoping that, this variance would allow us a little more visibility from that 3637 area. We have been working closely with Senator Moreno as well as his construction crew at the Mercedes dealership. And they brought it to our attention that their temporary sign package that was approved is all geared toward the fencing that surrounds the construction area. And that they intend that their permanent sign package would go into place in April of 2026. So, yes, sir.
If I may interrupt, Mr. Chairman. You stated that their temporary signage has all been approved?
For the Mercedes dealership, that's just what construction had mentioned to us, was that the temporary signs.
We have been in discussion and they emailed me some possibilities.
Okay.
And then they followed up with, we're not exactly sure what we want to do, so we're not going forward with anything yet. So there's been no temporary sign package approved. Okay. I just want to make sure that was.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Yes. And that, again, was just information that we were provided by the construction gentleman there. So, they are instructing us that as of April of next year, realistically, our sign would probably need to be coming down at that moment anyway, as they put up their permanent monument signs and things of that nature. So I wanted to bring that to your attention as well. We don't intend that we will need this for 2 years. So just being transparent. So, okay.
And yeah, with that, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, we'll open it up for discussion. Anybody have anything to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. In your application, twice is mentioned that the PMUD did not contemplate the sign prior to its adoption. What do you exactly mean by that?
So the PMUD has a very robust sign package. And it has, there's a very tall sign that will be able to be seen from 71. They are doing a welcome to Berkshire Township sign. You can see there's a lot of different signage on this building. And so all of that was approved as part of that development. And this is a sign that advertises for the property to the south. So it wasn't part of that because it wasn't contemplated at the time. So that's what we mean. That's why we have to get the variance.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions, just to clarify, you said 36% occupancy? But what were the numbers you gave us?
Right now, I've got 44 occupied. We do have additional deposits to get us to 45%. So we're on our path
The
forward.
44 out of how many total units?
Percentage. What's the,
I thought you mentioned 312.
Yeah, 312 units total at the Carlton and Berkshire.
Okay, well, 44 out of 312 isn't anywhere close.
Right, we have additional deposits that haven't moved in yet.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
And could you clarify what you said about the temporary signage? And maybe I misheard that, but you said, so when they take down the temporary signage, you would no longer have your sign there?
That's what their construction folks had mentioned was, again, that they were doing temporary on their fencing, and then once they put in their permanent signage, that their thought was ours would go away at that moment.
But
So,
you also said April of 26?
of 26, that's correct, was what they were quoting as when their permanent sign package would
Okay,
be
so you would
installed.
take your sign down in April of next year?
That's correct, yeah. And again, I mean, I don't think we'll need it for 2 years. This is a primary focus to get our units built the initial.
No, I understand, but when you,
Put us on the map.
but saying is different than what you put in writing. So if you say you need it for 2 years, but now you're saying, so are you amending it that it'll come down
no,
in
it's,
April?
the variance we're asking for isn't for 2 years. That's what the code allows,
Okay,
up to 2 years.
so are you asking for a variance until April of 2026?
No, we don't need a variance for that. What we're asking for is specifically the height and then to have the premise of the sign, what the sign says, the content of the sign.
Okay, but don't you think it'd be easier for us to at least look at it? How long is that, if they're, how
Sure.
long it's gonna be there?
Yeah, definitely. And that's a consideration for you to have too. And yeah, if it would help, we could commit to having it out by April of 2026.
So the initial question though is whether or not you want to approve a sign even being there.
Understand.
Yes.
No, understand. I got
That's
it.
the issue.
No, I got it.
That's,
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
everything else falls under that. If that is not acceptable to us, or we want to modify where they put the sign on, that's the first decision
I understand
that
that.
we have.
I just heard two different things.
Yeah.
Years and I heard April. That's why I just wanted that clarification for the statements made. And do either of you drive through that intersection
Of course,
regularly?
absolutely.
So, when you talk about the detriment to, maybe it's not a detriment to the landscape or whatever, in your opinion. Personally, that intersection has double turn lanes, it's got U-turn lanes. To me, the detriment would be more distractions to the drivers who are already, in my opinion, because I drive through it every day, the distractions that go through there. So that's, I wanted clarification on the date, which again has no bearing if we want a sign or no sign. But I also wanted to make that statement.
Yeah, understood.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I just kind of make a point again? Your request, the requested variance are temporary in nature, as the sign will only be on the site for 24 months, as is permitted in section 22. Now, I'm asking the board to get clarification because that's asking for 2 years. And I'm not sure that's agreeing with the time that they're stating. So I want to make sure all the facts are out here.
That's why I asked.
Sure.
Okay, my sense is the response indicated that they would find it acceptable to go to June of 26.
I
Is
thought it was
that
April.
correct?
April.
Or April?
Yeah, we understand, the situation that we're in obviously is we're asking another property owner if they'll allow us to put a sign on their property. So for the duration, per the resolution, you can have a sign like this on the property for up to 2 years. And then we are also at the mercy of the other owner, and they have graciously allowed us, and with the information we got today, they said that they will take their temporary signs if they get them, and they'll put their permanent signs up in April of 2026. So our sign would only be there until April of 2026. And we're happy to commit to that, if that would be part of the condition that you would like to.
I did speak with the rep for Mercedes today, and they're right now projecting May of 26 they'll be open for business.
Okay, I have a little more technical question than that. I see where you're showing the proposed sign, and it's 20, I read it right, it's 23 feet off the right of way for Wilson Road. But what's the distance from 36, 37?
I think it's that 77 feet to the corner. I think that's what that distance there is from 36, 37.
Okay, got it.
Does that answer your question? Do you see that on the notation?
I see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, I have yes, can you hear me? So we have no assurance that Mercedes is going to have their sign up by April. So how does that work out? That we're giving them permission to put it up until Mercedes takes down their temporary, but we don't exactly know when that's going to be, correct? Dave?
You, as the appeals board, as our zoning resolution states, you may put in there what you desire to approve. If you desire to approve to April 1, 2026, that puts an end date. So while I'm speaking, I do want to go back to one more thing, because code does not say off premise for up to 2 years. Code says off premise is prohibited.
Well, there's two. So the first one is the for lease sale sign. That one is up to 2 years. And so that one is and then there's a second variance to allow an off premises sign.
That's your request, but my point is the code says prohibited off premise. There's no 2 years with that subject there.
Correct. The off premises is prohibited by the code. But then the for lease, for rent, for sale sign, that's what the content of our sign says. Those types of signs can be up for 2 years.
And
So
It's kind of like a.
I would
combination there.
suggest that you read section 22.04, and I don't mean to be difficult, but it states in there halfway down on the real estate for sale signs, and that's what you're identifying. All such signs must be located upon real estate which is offered for sale, rent, or lease, period.
Yes, and that's why we're asking for a variance to be allowed to put it on another site in conjunction with the off premises sign.
Okay.
Variance, so they work together.
Only under one set of circumstances, under the other, they don't work at all.
Well, that's why we've asked for them both in that instance.
Okay, but one is required before the other can be even considered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if you say no to one.
Okay.
Jim, I have a comment. I drove that area yesterday, and frankly, I find that whole area right there very, very distracting. As far as even putting up another sign. I think it's distracting as it is. And I live up here, and I see the number of accidents on 37, not necessarily on Wilson Road. It just makes me nervous to be putting up yet another sign.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And again, I would just reiterate that this is temporary. It's not forever. It's just for, to help drive people to the site while the construction is happening so that people will see it and then they'll come down and help us boost occupancy.
One other comment, and while we're considering this, your specific application, just north of that intersection is another apartment complex. There's rental homes, there's an Epcon community with 100 and some houses going in, there's a Del Webb community with 600 and some homes. And they could also come to the board and ask for signage. So I just put that out there, because I drive through that every day. It's dangerous enough making a left-hand turn with people trying to make U-turns from the outside lane. That's all I have.
I have a question for you. I share many of these same concerns that you've heard already. The visibility from that area, your site, quite frankly, seems quite visible in relation to other activities that are going on in that entire area. There's an additional rental development behind you, isn't there? Right. South.
Yes, sir.
And I could see where competing entities would, if they could, would like to move and have additional signage that would promote their service. So I have concerns myself then about, are we starting a parade coming in here wanting to put extra signage in this area to promote their developments? And quite frankly, the size of the sign, I think under any other circumstances, isn't going to stay the same. If you look at the limitations on signage for developments, they're much more strict, much smaller, and much more refined. So I'm not sure of the value, particularly to the community or to even passersby, of being able to see a sign that's 77 feet off the road. And I've got people turning left, I got people merging to the right. I've got U-turns coming. I think the safety issues are probably more problematic than just approving a sign on another piece of property. And I guess that's my comment. Any more comments? We can, if you're ready for discussion, do you have any more questions of the parties?
No, but I have to reiterate what you said. My concern is the safety there. The fact that it looks like there's construction to include another lane on the north side of Mercedes on 3637. I just find the entire area right there very, very distracting as far as traffic is concerned. I'm concerned about putting up something else that might distract a driver. When I drove down Wilson Road, I could see the sign for the Carlton. I don't really think another one is needed.
If the sign location were moved along 3637 further east away from the intersection, so somewhere over here, would that alleviate some of your concern?
Not mine.
On 3637.
Yes, like toward the
Yes.
east, away from this intersection, so at the kind of the eastern edge, eastern, like, what is that? It's like northeastern corner of their parcel.
Not
That's
really,
away
because
from-
that's where the lane cuts over too, so you have that issue.
There's another lane being put in on 3637 that's going east.
But what they do is they're merging right now. Both, you have two eastbound lanes currently at Wilson. And what they do is they merge into a single lane right about in the area that you're suggesting there.
Yeah.
Any more questions of the applicant? Okay, any discussion among the board?
Well, when I was driving through there the other day, when I'm going north, I possibly could see that sign if I'm in the right-hand lane. But if I'm in the middle lane or turning left, that's a real distraction. Probably not going to see it. And if I'm going south on Wilson Road, I'm probably not going to see it because of the traffic.
I guess I do have one more question for you. What's the orientation of the sign? What is the proposed orientation relative to that intersection?
I'm sorry,
Well, is it going to face 3637? Is it going to be facing Wilson? Is it, how do you propose?
It would be perpendicular to 3637, so you see it coming both ways on 3637.
Okay.
That's the main.
All right, so that's what you're, all right.
I know Oakwood, I believe, has one on the north side of that intersection in the field that faces, and it's just a front facing toward 3637.
Any more discussion? No? Dorothy?
No.
Ellen?
No.
Okay, someone prepared to make a motion? To make a motion on the first portion of the application relative to the variance to allow the sign, the off-property sign.
I will make a motion that we not approve allowing them to have an off-property sign, if that's worded correctly.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Vote. All those in the affirmative?
Point of order,
Oh, okay.
if I could, let's have that motion read back so everyone understands.
Fred made a motion to deny application 25094, the off-premises signs, this off.
The authorization.
Yeah, I
Of
just
an
wanted to make sure, because
off-property.
he did not say to deny.
Yes, you did.
It was to not approve.
Not approved,
Not
excuse me,
approved.
deny.
Yeah, because I want to make sure if the motion does read deny, everyone understands what they're voting on.
Would you like, so Fred made a motion to not approve. Is that what you would like?
You want to change that?
Would
to
you
deny?
prefer it to
Well,
say-
I can't tell you how to make a motion or how to read, but my point is I want to make sure everyone understands that not approve, better language may be just to deny the motion. So when you vote, you're voting to either deny or not deny.
I will amend my motion to say deny
Deny
instead of not approve.
And then the second has to agree
There's a
with that.
second
I will
stand.
second that motion to deny the application.
Okay. All those in favor of denying the application signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Chair, we need to take a roll call vote, yes.
Okay, roll call.
Dorothy,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes,
James, Jim,
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, this can still be part of the meeting. Have you folks had a conversation with Tanger?
The Tanger outlets,
Yes. Yes, Tanger, really.
I mean, we're doing advertising with them, of course, but
Well, they do have a sign, a monument sign across the road that does have 6 options for advertising on that monument sign. There are some particulars that would have to get worked out. It was originally built for tenants in the mall. Since that mall's been built, there's not been one tenant to use that sign. So Brianna is the mall manager, don't remember her last name, but that may be an option that you might want to investigate.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We'll let her do that.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I was just gonna say, if that had been approved, you would have been under a different set of restrictions, which would have restricted the size of this sign to like 3 by 4. So,
I think.
yeah, I also wondered if you had a permit for that sign very similar to this, that you've got out in front of your,
I believe there's did you do a permit on the market sign up front of?
The
Yeah.
safer thing for me to do is to go back and verify. There is a lot of signage on that property that technically is not to be there. All the little real estate signs, the blue, I think it's blue or green, a white sign facing Wilson, for coming, apartments coming. That sign needs to be removed.
There's a trifle with balloons on it.
Yeah, and there's also on a 2 4x4 post that you can't see unless you're right in front of it, that faces Wilson Road. And it's a coming soon real estate marketing sign, and I'd say that one never got approved. So I will look into that, Jim, what was approved, just to be sure, and I'll let these folks know on that.
To answer your specific question, this is what we're looking at. It does not to exceed 32 square feet per side. So this sign would fit, it's 32 square feet.
okay, yes.
Yeah, so that's what is yeah,
Okay.
so the whole thing though, so the parcel that we're talking about exceeds 10 acres, it's 12 acres. There's one temporary freestanding side that's 32 square feet per side and a total of 8 feet. There's another variance that would make it 10 feet, but we could also drop
Right.
that out and made it under the thing, so it wouldn't be a variance for that. And then it's at least 20 feet away from the right of way, we have that. And then this is the other part of the variance, all such signs must be located on real estate which is offered for lease. That's another one of the part of our variance, so that was a variance to allow it to not be a part of that. And then in addition to the off-premises sign,
Okay.
which is a separate thing. And then again, said signs may remain for a period not to exceed 24 months. So that's why it was in there. It could be a maximum
Yeah.
of 24 months,
Okay.
and then we would have, yeah.
So maybe you can make one out in front of your store or your drive legal, huh?
Yeah, we'll
It might
definitely
be,
take a look
it's
at
probably
it.
in your plan somewhere.
We'll definitely be in touch with you about it. So, well, thank you all for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys. So Jim, do you have one more question for the group?
One more
Yes,
question
Jim.
for the group.
Somebody want to move?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, Dorothy got it. I'm
Ellen.
Ellen.
I'll second.
Second.
Dorothy,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Ellen's on the ball.
I'll remember to say deny.